TJ Dillashaw blew out his shoulder in the very first round of his bantamweight world title fight with Aljamain Sterling last weekend, and has since gone on to apologize. However, his performance and subsequent apology hasn't really sat well with one UFC light heavyweight, Anthony Smith, who has accused TJ of selling wolf tickets. Today we're discussing Dillashaw and Smith's post-UFC 280 comments, plus a call-out for Smith, so stay with us. Let's get into it then. What did TJ have to say? As we now know, TJ came into the world title fight with an injured shoulder, and it has been suggested his team really shouldn't have let him fight. One of them should have alerted the authorities. Alas, it didn't play out that way, and Sterling retained his bantamweight crown via second-round TKO. Of course, the finish was, in part, aided by TJ's injury, which he revealed had plagued him in the build-up to the fight. After the dust had settled on the showdown with Funk Master, Dillashaw said, "I gotta apologize to the weight class. Kind of held it up. I completely blew my shoulder out at the end of April, as soon as I was getting ready for this fight. I probably dislocated it a good 20 times throughout training camp. Rough." TJ went on to explain that he told the ref exactly what he was going through before the fight, but reassured him that if it did pop out during the fight, it wouldn't be a problem, as he would be able to simply pop it back in place. Of course, it impeded him a little more than he thought it would, as it completely restricted his mobility. Dillashaw again apologized to his fellow bantamweights, adding, "This was a tough one to come into. Again, I apologize to the weight class, because it's a stacked weight class. I took up a position, but I wasn't gonna wait another year to get a shot." What did you guys make of TJ's shoulder injury? So what did Anthony Smith have to say? Well, he clearly wasn't impressed. Smith currently co-hosts the Believe You Me podcast with England's former middleweight champion Michael Bisping, and on a recent episode of the show, he went in on the former bantamweight king for trying to fight when he knew he was clearly injured. Smith, who went 5 rounds with John Jones for the light heavyweight title back in March 2019, revealed how he was disappointed in TJ for how the whole thing played out. He continued, "He sold us all wolf tickets and had everyone super excited for a fight that I don't care what everybody says, you can't lie to yourself." Of course, people had been questioning whether Dillashaw was worthy of a title shot, having only fought once since coming back from a 2-year ban for PEDs, with most agreeing that he probably wasn't. However, that wasn't what riled Smith, who added, "In all your fight build-up and all the stuff you said to other people, you had to look at yourself in the face in the mirror and know what you're capable of, and what the chances were that that was going to happen." However, others have suggested that Dillashaw was only doing what any fighter would do in his position. TJ has no idea if he will ever get the chance to fight for a world title again, so of course, he was going to fight. Do you agree with Smith? Smith has responded to Nikita Krylov's recent call-out next. Stay tuned. After Krylov's recent win over the tough Volkan Oezdemir at UFC 280 recently, the big Ukrainian turned his attention to one Anthony Smith, who of course was cage-side in his role as analyst. In his post-fight interview, Krylov threw down a challenge to Smith by saying, "I think it will be great with Anthony Smith. I think he's number 5 in the rankings. I will be really happy if the organization gives me a fight with him. If he can't or he's scared, I can fight with anyone, everyone." Smith responded by smiling at the prospect, before revealing he isn't scared of Krylov. He said, "I have a lot of respect for Nikita Krylov. I said several times before that he's kind of the dark horse in the division." The successful podcaster then referenced how quickly Krylov got rid of Alexander Gustafsson, before adding, "The answer is and always is, to everybody in the division, yes, I'm totally down. Maybe March, I'm in." Smith still isn't fully recovered from the broken leg he suffered against Magomed Ankalaev last time out, so this one probably won't be in the very near future. He had previously claimed that he was hoping to be back in January, but has since conceded he was probably a little bit optimistic with that time frame. Do you guys like this one? Next up, TJ has been called out by an old foe. Dillashaw knocked Cody Garbrandt out twice in consecutive fights in 2017 and 2018, putting to bed a years-old feud, which came about after Dillashaw left his former home of Team Alpha Male. TJ dethroned Garbrandt in their first fight, and would go on to easily beat him in the second, but would later be stripped for EPO use. However, Cody clearly isn't over the rift with TJ, and has again suggested the pair should fight for a third time over this past weekend. Of course, Garbrandt is on a pretty poor run of his own, having won only 1 in his last 6, but that hasn't stopped him throwing down the gauntlet to his former friend. Taking to Twitter on Sunday, No Love posted, "This dude is a B. 10 days before our first fight, the UFC flew me to Las Vegas to get epidural shots in my back because I couldn't even walk. I didn't make any excuses or cry about it after I lost to this cheating B. Me versus TJ. Book that EPO can't save you anymore. Wow. Many have claimed that TJ's win should be scrubbed due to the fact that he is a cheat, so maybe Cody has a point. Why shouldn't they run it back to see if TJ's PEDs actually did make a difference? Any fight between the pair wouldn't be for a while yet anyway, given the fact that Dillashaw will almost certainly have to undergo yet more surgery. Do you think they should run it back? News of Henry Cejudo referring to TJ as a gimp next. Stay with us. As we all know, Henry Cejudo is fast morphing into his generation's Chael Sonnen, a man who simply has to have an opinion on everything. And in the wake of Aljamain Sterling's recent win over TJ, Cejudo has spoken out about the state of the bantamweight division. Taking to Twitter in the days after Sterling's win, Cejudo questioned whether Sterling was going to count your victory over the gimp as a win. Of course, he was referring to TJ Dillashaw, a man he actually beat back in 2019 due to the injury he fought with, before adding, "Surprised you didn't call out Oscar Pistorius afterwards. I know you gotta work on your cardio, but don't run from me for 8 months." Sterling has since revealed he won't be returning to the Octagon until next summer at the earliest, citing the fact that he deserves time off due to what he has done recently. He also took to Twitter to tell Cejudo he can go kick rocks because he is taking some time out. The champ then even suggested that Cejudo isn't really a big draw, and most people would want to see him take on one of the division's most hyped fighters in the shape of Sugar Sean O'Malley, adding, "It seems like as a whole, Sean just draws better than Cejudo. Which fight do you guys think makes most sense next for Aljo?" And now, O'Malley has suggested he knows why Henry is desperate for a return to the UFC. Henry Cejudo has for months been telling anyone who will listen that he should be next in line for a bantamweight title shot, even though he retired from the sport a couple of years back. But with Aljo taking some well-deserved time out for the next few months, Cejudo has suggested him and Sean O'Malley should throw down for an interim bantamweight title. However, Sugar Sean has suggested Henry has ulterior motives and that his return to the Octagon is purely financial. Appearing on the MMA Hour earlier this week, Sean claimed, "I heard from someone close to Henry that he's got like $37 in the bank, and he's literally just trying to do anything to get some money and trying to book a fight." Of course, there's no evidence to prove this, but Sean wasn't finished dissing Henry. He went on to claim that Triple C isn't a main event type of fight. He even suggested that even if he fought Sterling, there'll probably be some co-main event on some card. Big talk. There's no guarantee that Cejudo is even coming back right now, which O'Malley himself even touched on. He finished by saying, "I feel like every time we talk about this guy, it's like, is he actually coming back? So I don't really put much thought into that." What do you make of Sean's words? As always, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to swing by again next time for some more fun reveals. And why not do us a favor by liking today's video and sharing it with any UFC heads you might have lurking on those socials. Bye guys.